Oh, sure. Oh, no, that's fine. I just have to get the knee in the right spot.
I think we're ready, Chris.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, welcome to the Council on Aging Board of Directors meeting, May 21st, 2025. May I have a call to order? Thank you. Make a motion to call the meeting to order at 9:37. Did I get a motion to call the meeting to
Oh,
order?
yes.
Oh, you did already, sorry.
Whichever one. We both said it kind of the same time. One of us made the motion, one seconded.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Seeing as though this is my last meeting as board chair, I'm still going to stay on the board. I'll read our mission statement today. The mission of the Council on Aging is to advocate for Groveland's older adults, to identify their needs, to develop and implement services to meet their health, economic, social, and cultural needs, to encourage maximum independence, and to improve their quality of life. Minutes of the April 16th, 2025 meeting. If everyone has had a chance to look those over, could I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Now, is there any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes? So moved, thank you. Excuse me, Director's report. Melissa, please.
Awesome. Good morning. Thank you so much for your time. So I was able to send this out last Friday. So if you do have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to jump in. Otherwise, I can run through it, knowing that we have strategic planning discussion for later. So, certainly top of mind, with our engagement celebration happening over the weekend and with Pride Month coming up was inclusivity in aging services. So I shared with you that Nisha and I had both attended a aging and LGBTQIA plus aging conference a couple weeks ago now, Friday, May 9th. That is sponsored by AgeSpan and a number of other community partners. This was its 14th year. So it was a full day online conference, certainly worthwhile, and we received a lot of great information. I put in a few themes that stood out in particular for me is just visibility and safety is a core value for our community members that are part of this community. As with everything we do, tailored care to the individuals and what they come in for, and making sure that we are identifying the individual needs and how we can best help them and refer support accordingly, and certainly representation and respect. It was a great conference. It was a small fee for anybody in the community to join, so certainly next year I'll make sure to put it out for others to join as well. For us at the COA, certainly I know it will be part of our strategic planning conversation, but just noting that we do have a couple of programming events on this topic coming up in June. The first one is actually June 2nd. It's our Conversations That Matters group. The book that will be guiding that conversation is The Stonewall Generation. It's a really neat book. It's Jane Fleshman, who wrote the book, had just done a number of interviews of older adults, both that were at the Stonewall Inn at the time, as well as, people that were living their lives elsewhere, but still just a huge impactful moment on their lives. So that will be happening on Monday, June 2nd, 12 o'clock. It is lunchtime. You're more than welcome to bring your lunch and join us. As always, if you've read the book, wonderful. If not, that's okay too. Just join us for conversation. We do have a couple of copies in the office for anybody that would like to have one. And then after that, we will be having a conversation on Wednesday, June 25th at 1 o'clock. This will actually be taking place up at VC Park. It's really a conversation to understand language, identity, and ways to support our LGBTQ community, older adult community specifically. It's a conversation because we want to make sure it's primarily for allies, so people who are supporting folks in that community of what can we do best to make sure people feel welcome and supported. So everything from what does LGBTQIA stand for? Why am I using they, them? And having those conversations and making sure that that you feel comfortable, that we feel comfortable in that space and can move forward. Ro, if you didn't meet her at engagement celebration, is super amazing, licensed social worker. She will be leading the conversation, and we'll take it from there. Any thoughts on that part? No? You all have a flyer as well for our Pride Month activities.
All right, if I share that to be publicized with other.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would be great.
Could you send this to me electronically?
Yes. Electronically is much more colorful, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, as always, all of our programs are open to anybody that would like to join us, residents living in Groveland and outside. And both of those happen to be free as well. For finance, nothing too unusual. Did want to point out that we are a couple months closing out the fiscal year. Fiscal year ends on June 30th for the town. The formula grant, the second and final installment of the formula grant came in. So we are all set there. Great news is that for FY26, which has been approved by the state, increased from $15 to $16 per person, 60 plus, based on the 2020 census. So that will be wonderful. I've gone ahead and submitted our reimbursement request from the MCOA SIG grant. So that should be coming in before June 30th. We do have the Mass DOT grant, which is $5,000, which I still need to submit for. So that will be coming in, and everything is looking to be right online in the black and above. Any questions on the budget? No? All right. So our assistant director, Nisha Burke, wrote her report for April. She mentions a few things in there. I will just, put it out there that as, the assistant director role transfers over to being focused on outreach. Nisha's certainly taking that on and will be taking a couple of leadership positions in that role. So she, as part of our MOU with NEAT, we do need to have a board. It's listed in our MOUs that each COA needs to have a board member. I'm not sure if it's 100% enforced, but definitely wanted to take it up on the opportunity. So Nisha will be joining their board come June. And then she will also be attending the regular meetings that ONT, Our Neighbors Table, has, as well as community partners. I will still be involved with that on their Leadership Advisory Council, but they do have regular monthly meetings for community members to meet and discuss just trends and helpful resources and such. So, really love to see her stepping up in that part. In regards to statistics and insights, nothing too crazy, other than, as we all know, the van was not was not active in April, and so certainly trips were down and rides were down, but overall, pretty strong increase, particularly in our programming. Yeah, if you have any questions there, happy to ask. Yeah.
So I see that Nisha met with Rosemary and Pam and had a discussion about a farmer's market and the possibility of starting one here. What do the chances look like for that possibility?
Yeah, so that would be, my understanding, something that the Board of Health would be navigating and following through on. I haven't heard any more updates other than, there was an inquiry for this. I would just remind people that, yes, that would be awesome and would definitely welcome it. Either way, you do have access to fresh produce with the COA pantry as well. So anyone can we do focus and target with our older adults, 60 plus, are more than welcome to use the pantry. We're open our normal office hours, Monday 8 to 4, Tuesday through Thursday 8 to 4:30, and Friday 8 to 12. We had some really wonderful bell peppers last week. A community member brought in some rhubarb, so there's a nice resource there. Yeah, but we'll keep you posted on if and when that farmer's market happens.
Thank you.
While we're on that, I'll just put it out there. So every summer, it typically happens late. I'm going to say late July, probably August. We do get the farmers market vouchers, which is a federally funded program. So, certainly at this time, perhaps it's unknown what that number will look like. But in planning, like we'll continue to have that program. It has been noted it can be difficult to get to the farmer's market. Note that you don't have to use those vouchers at farmer's market. You can use them actually at the farm itself. So Chris's over in Bradford, Wally's on closer to us on the Haverhill side, they do accept those farmer market vouchers, and we are looking to see, if we can put on a scheduled date for the van to go over there. Certainly people can always request a van, but perhaps it might be easier if we put something on the calendar for people. So, yep. All right. Upcoming events, so just a note, many of you got a call if you are already registered for the Flip the Script scavenger hunt. With the pending Northeaster coming, we thought perhaps it might be in everyone's best interest to reschedule that. So Nisha is looking to reschedule that for Tuesday, June 3rd. Okay, thank you.
From 11 to 1.
Tuesday, June 3rd, 11 to 1. So great news. If that date works better, please join us, and you're more than welcome to still sign up for that. For those of you that can't, apologies, but we do want to make sure that everybody is safe and has an enjoyable time. Be Stroke Smart with Anna Jakes Hospital is coming up on Tuesday, May 27th at 1:30 p.m. We had talked about Conversations That Matter, happening Monday, June 2nd, 12 o'clock, Preventing Medicare Fraud with the Senior Medicare Patrol. It's an age span program. We'll be here on June 17th, 1 o'clock. They were also a partner table at the engagement celebration. They had a lot of people coming up to them, great information. So they will be here to do a full presentation. And then Growing Allies on Wednesday, June 25th, 1 o'clock. Any other questions on programming? No? Food insecurity pantry updates. We talked about it. Something unique is that we did serve over 100 individuals, duplicated individuals, but 100 people walked through that door looking for food. And that is the first time that we've seen over 100 people while we've been tracking these numbers, so for at least the past 2 years. So know that it's the pantry is in full service. For those that need it, we are here. More than welcome to come in anytime we're open. For those that have the means and ability to give, we certainly welcome that too, because we can't do it without the community support. So, you know, anything that all of us have in our pantries, people would like here too. But if you do need inspiration, we do have our Amazon wish list up there too. For the transportation update, as mentioned, the van was out April 9th through May 13th. We took it to a number of vendors. The one that worked ended up being the MIVA facilities maintenance support over there. So that was great. I really appreciate them letting us take our van over there and fixing it for us. They were lovely to work with. Also want to thank the Georgetown COA who did loan us their van for a few days as well. So again, that allowed people to go grocery shopping that we wouldn't otherwise have gone. So truly appreciate that. And then certainly while it was out, rides were down, but there still are, I want to encourage people, we can do rides through the NEAT program, and while it is by donation only, so pay what you can, and if you're in a situation where that's not possible, that is 100% okay. MIVA door-to-door service as well, again, 100% free. You do have to call them, ahead of time, and there's a 30-minute window, but absolutely, and they have a lift and able to transport those with wheelchairs. So all of those options were available and continue to be available. You may have noticed that we have the COA tent up, which was wonderful to see. Truly appreciate the town for taking that on, particularly Steve from Buildings and Facilities and Anthony on Public Grounds. I feel like they might have been just the only two that did it. If there were others, I didn't see you, but I truly, truly appreciate their support and efforts in particular, and anybody that may have joined them in helping cleaning it up. So
Melissa,
that's it. Yeah.
Will there be sides on the tent as if there, in the past there have been?
In the past, there have been. They've been a lot of hassle. Those sides. I don't know that it outweighs. I'm interested in hearing feedback and what people would be interested in, but more times than not, it's up, and then when it's up, it collects rain, and when it collects rain, it collects mildew and green stuff, and it's icky.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not easy to put them up and.
And then it's not easy.
Oh, yeah.
So, in the event that there's poor weather, you can do things in here, like the lunches and things like that, which I imagine people would want to do if it was rainy, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Anything else? I did, when I wrote this, we hadn't yet had the engagement celebration, so I just printed this out for you this morning. A huge thank you to all the board members that were there to volunteer your time to support us. It was a pretty good turnout with a little over 100 people showing up. The space is huge, so we can accommodate a lot more. I really wanted to get closer to 125, 130 overall, through other measures of, in regards to receiving feedback, both from participants and our partners. Everything was overwhelmingly positive. So I do consider that a success. When we're talking about inclusivity as an organization, I think this celebration really puts that in action and is a great platform to have a variety of resources and information and community members to come in and participate. So I thought it was a great day. I couldn't have done it without all of you. I couldn't have done it without our supporters, our sponsors, and certainly the attendees that were there. There were feedback forms there. I will be sending them out via email as well to get anything additional, particularly from people that didn't do a paper form. But certainly, if you all have any feedback, more than happy to hear it now or later.
I would just say, I think a lot of people did not realize that those survey forms were there.
Yeah, no, I had to go into the rooms and
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, maybe if we handed it out at registration.
Yeah, but then, so I did, my intention was to do it at the end of the last class.
Oh,
I just didn't get to, my timing just was off.
Right, 'cause they
Yeah.
were walking out the door, I came back, gathered up my things, and, oh, have you filled out a survey?
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, my intention was to be in the classrooms, but that's why, I will
Yeah.
send it via email. But yeah, absolutely.
How did you feel that the format this year, because it was slightly different, you know, as far as when the resource fair was?
Yeah.
Which do you feel worked better?
I felt, I mean, so things for me that I really wanted to see was the vendor tables to be active. And so what I gather was that the vendor tables were really active this year. And we did do a little 5-sticker survey, which I think helped push people there. A number of the tables also had their own drawings as well. So I liked having it as a dedicated separate time. I think it's still, anybody that's ever done a resource table, you're always like, is it worth it, is it not? From what I heard so far from those that have responded, felt like it was worthwhile and they saw better attendance at their tables this year, but always if people have ideas on how to make it even more robust, happy to. I love seeing that so this year we had 2 workshop sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, so that was an expansion. Again, worried if people would stay all the way to the afternoon, worried how people would break out into the rooms, and by and large, certainly some rooms had more than the other, but they all had pretty good attendance, and it felt like it was, people that were there wanted to be there and wanted to learn and so then they were engaged and asked questions and fully participated.
One thing I noticed, having worked registration both
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
was that this year people seemed to come in later.
Yep.
So I think
Definitely.
some people, which is fine.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think some people
Yeah.
waited and came for the keynote speaker.
Yes. Yep.
So that was a difference that I saw this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't even go to the first workshop.
Right.
Because there were people coming
Yep.
in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
right, I'm registering them.
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
as I was leaving, there were people coming in. So I think that was the difference. But I think that's good, as long as we understand
Yep.
that that's
Yeah.
the way it's going to work, and it just changes our staffing a little bit. Because last year, everyone came at the very beginning, and we did have 2 of us, like, nonstop checking people
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
This year, it really wasn't like that.
No, no.
Because people, I think,
We had the very early.
yes, we had the very earlies, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how you stopped
And then
that.
it went through, I mean.
Yeah, it seemed
well, I
like people
guess
were
not
coming
the
through all
workshop.
day. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and hopefully we can have that conversation is that, certainly we did have our assistant director there the aim was that she would have come over to.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
You know me.
yeah,
Whoever was around.
yeah. Yeah, no, my goal would love for people to come in at the first, time and stay the whole day. I don't know that that's realistic,
Well,
but
I mean, I think people.
that's
do
what I would
people
love.
have conflicts, and.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I personally thought this year's format was more conducive to people being able to do more.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Thank you.
that was my observation.
Yeah.
So I do have a question, too. Were the resource tables only to be open during that designated time? Because people were down.
Yeah,
there,
so I
they
did
came in, like, what
put,
we do in the
I
meantime.
did, that was the intention, was that was that they were not going people came early to set up their tables because they too also wanted to participate in some of the workshops and the keynote and so forth. So a few resource tables came early to set up, which then, despite there being a row saying they open at 12, people still went in, and I am appreciative and thankful that our vendors were kind and welcomed those conversations. But the idea was not to open up till 12.
So maybe that's just something for next year, we know to steer them.
Right.
We just say, okay, you know, if
Yeah.
you're here at
Yeah.
9, 10,
Yeah.
well, you can go and sit until 10, you know?
Yeah.
Please
Right.
feel free to go over there and get your coffee
Yeah.
and sit until.
Yeah, yeah. And it's particularly hard because of the keynote, and as we know, that space is really echoey, that even if you're way down at the other end, you can still hear it, so, yeah.
I agree with Deb that I thought this year's schedule flowed very smoothly, but it also gave the opportunity for people to do more, but to learn more. Because going to the workshops was like going to a learning opportunity in so many instances, and I think that was helpful for anybody who was there and going to a workshop.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think there was some confusion, and, I think part of it's our lived experiences of, so for those that, maybe weren't there, at 10:15, 10 o'clock, we had one session where 3 workshops were happening concurrently, and I do think there's confusion on, I get to do all of these workshops, when in reality, you have to choose one of the 3 to go to. So, again, open to feedback if there's a different way to word it, or if we go to a whole new format, who knows?
I also thought that the format was great. I thought the whole thing was great, and thanks to you for all the hours and hours of work that you put in on it, and it was a wonderful day. So thank you for all of your work and dedication on that. I heard a lot of feedback talking to people. I was impressed with how many people from outside of Groveland were there, and they made sure to, tell them, gee, thank you so much for coming, please come back, blah, blah, blah. But we are becoming, I think we're already there, from what I've heard from other people, a model council on aging. People, I heard so many people say, this one is so much better than, X, Y, Z, that you offer so much more. It's so rewarding to come here, everybody's so friendly. And so that's always great to hear, that all the work that's being done and the time that's being put in, is being forward, is working. So that was great. It was a wonderful day. And I think that having the workout, the vendor sessions later, even though people did go down earlier, there was a lot less of that, so that when you started speaking, we kind of had to round a few people up, and then, like, shh, shh, because the voices do carry down the hall.
Yeah.
But people were, overall respectful of that.
Absolutely,
And,
yeah.
I think it was, all in all, it was a very, very rewarding, fulfilling, and enjoyable day.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So
Well,
thank you again.
thank you. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for your director's report.
And gratitude to all the sponsors for the day
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
to
absolutely.
help make it possible.
Yep, we could not do it without them, so really appreciate it.
And to Panera for their wonderful breakfast offerings and coffee, and it was good to see people noshing on it throughout the morning. That was good. And the lunch
lunch.
from Jersey Mike's was excellent.
Excellent, I heard a lot. I don't know I didn't attend last year's.
Yeah, it was the same. So,
Yeah, it was Jersey Mike's last year.
Oh, okay, I mean, I don't know, but people are saying, this is great, this is,
Yeah.
what a nice,
yeah,
and good selection.
yeah, okay,
So,
very
good,
good.
good.
And the lunch held out, we had enough food for lunch?
We did.
Yeah. We had enough food in the morning, because we doled it out a little bit differently, which
Yeah,
people were
there
proud of us.
is, yeah, well,
Yeah, yes.
other
Yeah.
things, but.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thank
it was
you.
very good. Other business, subcommittee updates. The bylaws were voted in.
They were passed.
Yep, passed in at town meeting, and If I could, I'd like to get a copy of that, and
Yes,
also,
yes.
probably everyone on the board.
Well, yeah.
Electronically, if possible, that'd be great, thank you.
Yeah, probably we should all get them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we can put that one to bed for a few years anyways, let's hope. Is there anything to report on the finance, personnel? I know nominating, we need to talk about that, but anything else on the other ones before we?
I'm not part of the committee, but just an FYI, so, per our budget that was voted on, and as we've discussed in the past, we will be putting out that we're hiring a program coordinator. So that will be a 16-hour-a-week job. If not this week, definitely next week, it will be posted, and look forward to that with an idea.
Program coordinator?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like someone to just like answer the phones and,
Yeah, which is what essentially they would be doing.
oh, they're not
That's-
making the programs then?
No, coordinator.
Just-
So,
You're yeah, like taking.
so when they call to register,
Okay.
to
Not
that
planning
kind of thing.
programs.
No, just the coordinator. So helping set up, that kind of thing. Yep. I would say it's always inclusive though for IDS.
Okay, do we want to talk about the nominating at all? Or are we saving that for next month?
Well, I mean,
Next month, as
next
you
month,
know, I
you
won't
will
be
not
here.
be here.
So thank you
Next
for-
month, we will be voting the new slate of officers. Well, George have you been, not sworn, sworn in? I guess you'd still be sworn
I
in.
sent I gave his letter to Annie last week.
Okay,
So she said she would give it to
so it
the,
would be to the select board their next meeting.
yeah,
Okay,
so probably at the next meeting.
okay.
So just for clarity, so with the bylaws, so chair will change? What will change? Chair, co-chair? Does co-chair need to change? I guess that's what I'm asking, what
Typically,
needs to
co-chair
change?
means they move up to chair, but we've decided that Laurel is not going to be chair again. So we still need a chair.
Yeah, but I think the only one that we say cannot serve consecutive terms is the chair.
Chair.
correct?
That's what I thought, but I just want to clarify
Yeah,
that.
I don't think that applies to any of
Not
the
to the
other
others.
officers.
Okay.
I think it's
Right.
only the chair.
But,
Okay.
if anyone else wants to be secretary or treasurer, or, that's where we vote. You can have an opportunity to be,
Yep.
maybe I'll want to be the secretary again. And Irene could be chair.
I don't think so, Tim.
Hi, Irene.
Well, because I won't be here next month, I will say right now that when you're doing your nominating,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to be vice chair if that's the decision that the board would like to take, just throwing that out there. I'm definitely staying on the board, so.
So at our next meeting, the nominating committee will present to us a slate? Is that the way it works? I think so.
I think we,
That's what happened.
Yes,
yeah.
and so we need to,
And
figure out
who's
who-
on nominating again? Me?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm on nominating?
I think so.
I don't think so.
I didn't think
Who was-
so.
well, who's
No, I was on
Finance,
bylaws and finance.
bylaws.
Linda Brown was.
Oh,
That's right, it was Linda Brown.
So
That's
it's
right.
me?
so we need
Yeah.
someone else
Yeah.
to join Laurel.
I am the only person on the committee. Sharon? Linda?
Well, would it be, should we wait until June to
Vote on the slate.
think about,
No.
no, we'll vote in June, but to think about a slate, or who's interested in positions, or should that slate, as much as we possibly can, be made public now, a month in advance? I'm just asking.
I don't see why we can't discuss it now.
We can
I
do
don't
that.
know, we
And then
can't.
do the
And then
vote.
we
So, but would-
present the slate and we vote at the next meeting.
Right.
So just to clarify,
Because that was kind of what we said last month, like, think about
Yeah.
it, people.
we did.
Yeah.
So to clarify, we need to vote on in June, at our June meeting, we need to vote on a chair, a vice chair, a treasurer, and a secretary, correct? Do we also need to vote on members who are re-upping? Or we don't have to vote on that?
So, according to the bylaws, once you re-up, I mean, it's supposed to have a discussion here. Our feeling is, we all know everyone here. If there were people knocking on the door saying, yes, I want to be on this board, then it would be, well, we have 10 people at the door wanting to be on this board. And so, you re-upped, doesn't mean you necessarily that we're going to vote on you. We might want the person at the door.
Right.
That's not the case, and
So-
I don't want to see anyone on this board leave, because I think we're a really active board.
But
Am I
do we
correct?
need to vote? That's just my question. Regardless of whether we have 20 candidates.
Technically, we've
or
already
one.
voted, because we've asked, do you want to be on the board again? You've said yes, and nobody has said, no, we don't want.
So we don't have to do a formal vote?
No,
For
I don't
that.
believe so. I don't believe so. I mean, technically, we should have, done that, but we all know who had to re-up, except for me. I guess I'm just going with what they have. That's not the original, so sorry about that, Deb.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what we had, that you came on filling that position, but that's not what the town clerk had,
okay.
so. So the people who have re-upped have been approved by the board, and then their name goes forward to the selectmen.
right, okay, so we don't have to
Same
do
thing
that
with
George as well.
George, yes, we
don't-
have we said yes.
But we don't have to do a formal in-meeting vote
No,
in June. In June, we just have to do a formal in-meeting vote for the officers.
for the officers,
Okay.
correct,
Got
correct.
it. Got it.
Unless the situation ever comes that there are 10 people looking for 7 slots.
Right, okay.
Ah.
Okay,
I would like you all to know that we are one of the few boards and/or committees in town that has a full board.
oh,
So that's, and it's a committed working board, and I'm proud of all of you. Yeah.
And as far as the process for George to become an official board member, so we've already
Accepted,
approved
his
as a
letter has
board.
come in, yes.
And so now it's a matter of
Select board has to
seeing the-
approve him, and,
So the select board has not yet approved?
no,
it'll go on the next, probably their
It
next.
should be on the next
agenda.
one.
Okay.
I gave it
Yes.
to Annie.
Oh,
Letter to
okay,
Annie last
Yes.
thank
week.
you. I just wanted to be updated, so,
yeah.
when is their next meeting?
I think it's Monday.
Should be Monday, yeah.
Should be
Well, Monday's
Monday.
a holiday,
Oh,
so
that's
it's probably
holiday.
Tuesday.
Oh,
Oh, it's a
that's
holiday,
right.
That's right. So Tuesday, don't they do it on Tuesday when it's?
And so then if George sees the town clerk and takes the oath, then perhaps he's officially seated here for our June
Yes.
meeting?
Yes.
Great.
And
Good.
George, my suggestion, if you could make it to the select board's meeting, just to say, hi, this is a face, they really like to see who they're appointing.
All right,
Okay,
we'll do that.
Yes,
okay.
good.
And I don't know what time of day it is. It will be out on the,
About 6 o'clock,
yeah,
yeah.
I think it's at 6, yeah, and it'll be out on the calendar, on the other side of this wall, so.
So can we circle back to my question about should we be verbalizing a slate to vote on? Should we be verbalizing a slate now that will get voted on in June?
I would love to, not that I'm in charge here. but-
Yeah, yeah, that makes
So-
sense to me. So we have Sharon Hines is kindly going to take the position of chair. Thank
Yep.
you so much. As I said, I'm willing to be vice chair, but if anybody else would like to jump into that position. I know Irene has mentioned, and Deb has sent communications that they would like to continue on the board. Irene enjoys the secretary position. But
I might vie for her.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth, so.
No, you do a great job, so.
Thank you. And you're,
I'm fine to, unless someone else wants it.
Anybody else want to jump into, interested jumping into treasurer or
It's very
secretary?
easy.
If not, all right then, it looks like it would be Sharon, myself, as vice chair, Irene as secretary, and Deb as treasurer.
Which we will vote on next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Vote on that next meeting, so,
Thank you.
yay, easy
I
peasy.
wasn't sure before.
Yeah,
Good.
yep, she's getting her feet wet.
Good for you, Sharon.
Yeah,
You know what,
thank you
that's
so
how you
much.
learn. That's how you learn what, everything is going on, so.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
And thank
We're
you,
looking forward to it also.
thank you all.
Yeah, very good. All right.
Get a year of doing nothing.
Doing nothing, what?
Oh, no.
No, but I mean, no. When I rejoined the board, that's what I thought was going to happen, and then, oh, no.
You'll have a lesser role, but still very
Oh, no, I
vital
mean-
role. Yep, yep, I know what you mean. Budget, we talked about that the
Yeah.
budget was already approved at town meeting. No changes will be made to that. Friends of the Council on Aging update, Larry McKelney, he's the chair for the Friends. He's under the weather, so he's not able to come today, but he asked me to just do a quick update. The townwide yard sale was, for all that I've heard, a great success. Maps were passed out on Friday and Saturday, and from, quite a few were passed out on Friday, and we passed out also quite a few on Saturday. And judging from the enthusiasm of the people who were picking up the maps, they were delighted that there was a map, first of all. People said, oh, I was just driving all around town. So they were happy to have the map and what was being offered at each one, and they were very happy to see the townwide yard sale in general. And from what I heard, pretty much everybody who participated in it had good, attendance and people coming, and it was a glorious day weather-wise. We lucked out big time on both
Yes.
Friday and Saturday.
Yes,
So that made a big difference.
And I know this isn't a Friends meeting, but speaking of maps, I'm sorry I didn't print out some, because I live on School Street, which is very highly trafficked, and there were signs for different, so they went up by your place.
Yeah.
They went to you, they went to me. They might not have known elsewhere. I asked every person who came, so how did you hear about this? Oh, just driving down the road. I said, oh, so you don't know about the townwide yard sale? No, they were like people from other towns. I said, well, go back to the library, I wasn't sure where, but the town complex, and I told them how to get there, get a map. If I had a map, I could say, here's all the rest.
Well,
And I
that's what-
wish I could have gone in and done that, but my
Well, that
printers
was,
wasn't working.
that was a suggestion I was going to make at the next Friends meeting, to put in the notes for next year, that we provide each one of the participating tables some maps that they can give up.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
will help, so.
And, and then one lady was saying it was very hard, it was tiny print. So she
Well,
couldn't
yes.
see, and I'm
Yeah.
like, they were trying to get it on one page. We
Yeah.
have many, many places, and, but those were my comments. But
Yeah.
I took a survey of how many people I had, I don't remember the number, and how many actually knew about it and had a map, or at least knew about it. And it was about half that came through that did not know anything about it. They just happened upon my yard sale. So
Yeah.
that's a good idea to, yes, if they see the sign yard sale, they stop, you ask, and here, have a map.
Yeah,
There's
and
like a
plus-
whole bunch more.
We had the map right out on Main Street.
Yes.
Saying, townwide yard sale maps with the arrow, and a lot of
Yeah.
people drove in that way.
If they went in
So,
that way, right.
Yes, so. go
Do you
ahead.
know how much money they made? How
I
much?
think it was just under $1,000.
Okay.
His goal was 1,000, but he did send out an email, and I think it was like 900 or something. It was close.
I was just going to add, and I know probably a few of you know, but the Groveland Congregational Church also gave a portion of their proceeds from that day as a donation to the Groveland COA.
Just-
So
Yeah, the thrift
really
shop
appreciate
at
it.
the
So nice.
church was part of the yard sale, and they paid their fee, like everyone else, but then they also, the thrift shop workers also voted to donate 50% of what they earned that day,
Oh, how nice.
and sent it back to the Council on Aging, and it was like $700, $600?
Oh, so
I'd
they
say around
did well.
800, yeah.
Almost
What was it?
800, yeah.
800?
That's
800?
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a very good day,
Oh.
which is, I think, largely due. They also said that they had a lot of people that they had never seen before stop in.
Nice.
So they did. So Larry's hopefully Larry's less than 1,000 doesn't include that.
No.
Oh, I'm
no,
sure it
I don't think it
doesn't.
did. No, it just was based on,
And thank you to the missions committee of the church.
And Larry had also suggested that some people just donate what they made at the yard sale, so there might be some folks who did that, and we don't yet know the answer to that, so I'm sure. It's encouraging to hear, I kept wondering how the thrift shop had done, and I did hear some hearsay that the library's book sale was successful.
It was
They
one
were
of the
pleased.
biggest. I don't
I
know the
heard that as
figure, but
well.
it was one of the biggest book sales they've
Yeah,
had.
that it was busy,
Yep.
yes, and a
Yeah.
big sale.
I heard that as
So,
well.
It helps
So-
multiple, it's a nice example of community.
Community.
exactly, it's the whole community support and involvement, as well as the brightly colored signs that get somebody to stop at one place, and then maybe the opportunity to
What
stop
do
at
we
other
do with the
places.
signs?
Yeah,
I still
for
have
sure.
mine. Do you know?
Oh, yeah, bring it to the next.
Yeah,
one's
they
meeting.
came and they picked mine up. And I saw Trudy out on the road afterwards in the afternoon, like,
Yeah, Trudy
Pick 'em
was
up.
going around picking
Oh,
them.
I took it out I took them up when it started to rain. I'm like, I don't want people
Yeah.
coming now.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to.
No.
think
All
of
right,
our
I will,
signs.
I'll bring it, I'll bring it to the next Friends meeting, I guess.
Many thanks to Larry and his committee, his group of worker bees for a job very well done. In fact, one woman who was picking up a map said, "Are you doing this again next weekend?" I was like, no,
But it
maybe
is,
next year.
it is the thing that's happening, because Atkinson had it the next week, and I think, who was Amesbury? Someone else was doing the same idea.
See, we're
And
the
pe-
model, see you
The
later.
yard sale people
You are so
are looking for things like this.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, definitely, it was very successful.
okay.
As, also for the Friends, we will be doing a ladies' tea on July 17th at the Groveland Congregational Church at 2 o'clock. There will be more information coming out on that, probably shortly after the 1st of June. That should be lovely. There is an ongoing, he calls it the summer coin drive, but it's really ongoing. There will be the coin jar, I believe there's one in the Council on Aging office, and he might be setting it up on the table in the foyer again. If you have spare change at home, if you have those jars of change that you don't know what to do with, we'd love to have you donate them to the Friends of the Council on Aging in one of the jugs that will be here in Town Hall. And the next meeting of the Friends will be Thursday, June 5th at 2 o'clock, and as far as I know, it's here in the center meeting room. If that changes, we'd be certain to let everyone know. And all are welcome to come and share ideas. You're not committed to do anything. If you don't show up, that's when you get signed up for things. But all are welcome to come to that. That's it for the Friends. Is there any other business before we move on to strategic planning?
Just a big thank you to everyone who, to Larry, Trudy, to everyone who worked for the successful organization of the yard sale.
Yes, absolutely.
I do actually have a couple of questions before we move on, or I can do it at the very end.
You can do it now.
Okay, well, let me see. I
know
I have a list.
Wow.
Actually, I only have, I think, two things. Is there, and I know it's actually on one of the, I saw it in some of the suggestions that were made for our planning, but I've heard a couple of concerns about having to use smaller spaces for physical exercise activities, like 3B Fit, over in the thing. We did have one day, it's only once that I know of, but we had 10 people one day for yoga, which was wonderful, but crowded.
Right.
And I know that's an issue, and I know we don't have a magic solution, but I just wanted to keep it, we don't need an answer now, I just want to keep it.
I just want to address that. So, as we know, it's a shared space. And and we, with our two people, do the very best we can. There was a lot going on that day, and a lot of it's behind scenes, and I understand that. We did send out a notice of when things were changed, unexpected or without being on the newsletter, and certainly acknowledge that different spaces meet different people's needs, and that's why we let people know so that they can make that decision accordingly. I have talked to Brian many times about changing spaces. He is the teacher. He hasn't wanted to change spaces. We let him know he could cancel class if he really doesn't want it in the fire station. He does not want to cancel class. And certainly when we tell people it's in the fire station, people still go. So just putting it out there. So VC Park, if we find a space or time, they are absolutely more than welcome to have us. But again, every time that I have mentioned that to the teacher who is doing the class, the answer has been no. Again, Mary for yoga, she seems fine in this space. I know she really prefers the outdoor
I know.
space. Yeah.
Okay. And my other one is there any need, so at Thanksgiving, I think we usually get some I can't remember who does it, but doesn't someone already do? Huh?
Ocasio?
Is that Ocasio who does it? Yeah.
Yes.
Who already does Thanksgiving meal things?
So our neighbors, they're a bit of a duplicate service. So one, super appreciative. We'll be looking at how we can be most efficient, and so that they can be most efficient with their donations too. So our neighbors table provides everything, including the protein if needed, and we also give out gift cards at that time. Ocasio's does, they have it in a nice little box. It is duplicate
So is
services.
there, I guess my
though.
question is there any need for, do you feel we're covered as far as Thanksgiving meals?
As far as Thanksgiving, absolutely. Other holiday meals, we could always talk about
Okay,
that.
but as far as Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
you
no,
don't have
thanks.
any need?
No need for
another organization?
Thanksgiving.
I didn't think
No,
so.
thank you for that.
But I
though.
said I would ask.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
All right, thank you. So moving on to strategic planning. At our last meeting, we had talked about that the board members would forward to me objectives on each one of our pillars. And thank you very much to the board members that did that. There were some great ideas here. So I collated all of them. I did not include in what I put forward Nisha's and Alyssa's, because we already had those from the last meeting, so I didn't, duplicate theirs on these pages. I did put one pillar on each page, so there's room for people to take notes and write things down. But as I sent out to the board in an email, I was really excited as I was collating these, that there were some great ideas here, a variety. There's a lot of the same suggestions and ideas, which is great. But I'm very proud to work with a group of board members who are so committed and engaged in this ongoing process. So thank you again for all that. So hopefully you've had a few minutes just before the meeting to read over what there is here. I don't think I need to read them all, but should we perhaps today just briefly talk about selecting one or two of these to start working on? Perhaps if there's one that's like a quick do, and then one that's more a longer term thing. Like I know that a lot of people mentioned, including Alyssa, had mentioned the needs assessment survey. And Sharon had suggested that we also target a younger adult population in that survey, which I thought was a very good idea. Of course.
Toss out there before we get too far. So I know Laurel has kindly mentioned it a number of times, and we did put it out on the worksheet that, yes, we want everybody's input. Staff, meaning Nisha and myself, will be doing the work. And so we need to make sure that she and I can do it, like it's within our capacity, both within our hours, like literal hours of the day, and also within budget constraints and all of that. So I don't know that today would be the time for you to decide, because I think it was mentioned that these, key results would be something that the board, board input, but ultimately your input is that pillar, right, the big one, and then what can our 2-member staff do to implement it. So I'm almost curious if there are things that you're really feel strongly about, then we take those, and then Nisha and I come back and be like, okay, here's our game plan about what we can do and accomplish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that makes sense. If we kind of come to a consensus on what the board feels very strongly about.
Yeah.
But then, we don't need, and I don't think the board expects to actually devise the plan.
Yeah.
But I do think that we should use, I think we should use the next several minutes. I mean, a lot of these are like the pillar 1, nearly everything on here discusses needing an assessment survey of some kind. I think that's everywhere, right? They're set in a lot of different ways, and there are other ones that might fall as action items after that survey is done. But I think, I would say, just reading over pillar 1, that our consensus is pretty obvious. We want there to be some kind of survey.
Yeah, and so then what I would gather then Nisha and I will come up, in which, as you all know, we need to have our goals and our performance reviews, and then
Right.
we'll figure out how we're going to do it. But it would be really nice to know what you feel. But I would also put it out there that if there are things, and certainly haven't read through them yet, that the board specifically wants to take on, by all means.
I agree. And I think, I do think that the survey could be a combined
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
effort.
Should George come and be involved in this conversation?
I
or-
did give him a copy of
Okay.
the
I don't know.
3 pillars, so
Yeah,
he's
just
aware.
Now,
Yeah,
he can speak up, because we've approved him. I don't see any reason why.
So knowing that staff with a limitation on the hours that you have available and all, have you seen a survey format
Oh, yeah, so.
that you predict would be, it could be
Yeah.
both expansive for?
The short answer is yes.
Okay.
AARP and a number of other communities
Okay.
have done a needs assessment survey.
Okay.
So, my vision is, to take a look at those, the generic one that AARP have, which is pretty extensive, but also look at the towns as we would do to see how we can tailor it, specifically to
Okay.
what we're seeing. But yeah.
Okay, so I feel as if step 1, check.
Step 2 could be, why couldn't a subcommittee of this board come up, look at that, come up with some things, you add, detract, whatever from it, have it a combined thing, not say, here, you make up the survey. We have your pillar, yours and Nisha's comments on the pillar 1, 2, and 3. We have ours, and just make it a very broad but specific. That sounds really weird, but have the survey speak to these things that we are seeing, and then have an other kind of thing, like, is there anything you would like to see as you receive the survey in the mail,
Yeah.
email, or whatever?
So I think, are we looking for today to create objectives, right? So those
Right.
aren't the tactical details, it would just be.
So before we move on, I think you'd have to have a survey. It's, well, for long-range planning, what does the public, we can all say, this is what we want to see,
Right, I mean, absolutely, we need a survey. I mean, that's, and,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
number one, objective.
you know, the only way we're going to strengthen our ability to meet the evolving needs is to understand what those evolving needs are and where people feel they're either being met very, very well, or where they're not being met, or needs that we may not have thought of.
Exactly.
So I do think that a survey is important, and I think that that is something that the board could work collaboratively with the staff. I mean, especially like compiling
Right.
survey results.
Yeah, so I think, again, so right now we have the pillar. It sounds like the objective that we're agreeing on would be to create and implement a community needs assessment.
Yes.
So that would be the objective.
Yes.
And then we would discuss the other things.
Correct.
later.
I'm gonna butt in for a minute.
Yeah, please do.
I'm
Come.
gonna leave you because I have to go to hospice.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we volunteered, my wife
Yeah.
and I volunteered, so.
okay. Thank you very much,
All right.
George.
We will
you, George.
see you next month.
See you on this side of the table next time.
Next time I will stay longer.
Oh,
You'll
and
see on this side.
do you have his email, Irene?
No, I do
I'll
not.
make sure you get that.
Yeah.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Okay, just so that, you know, you send out the minutes and all of that
Thank
beforehand.
you.
Thank you,
Okay,
George.
thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
I'll send that out in an email to all board members, just so everyone has
Good.
his email information.
Okay.
So I'm curious if there were other objectives, I mean, looking at this here, that maybe the survey sort of, that's our one.
Well, I mean, training is always very important. And that's, I mean,
Yeah,
training helps you to meet those needs. For example, you know, the LGDB
yeah,
that you guys just went to. But I think that's something, I mean, I think you could come up with a training, I'm sure you have them already, training objectives.
yeah. I mean, so we can look at how we would want to do that, but we can make that an
I
objective
would, I
training.
mean,
Yeah.
that's,
Do you mean training to support what the survey results
Well,
tell us?
not
No,
yet.
the pillar, the meeting the evolving needs of older adults.
Right. So the survey, developing the survey is one objective, okay? Then, I mean, we don't know how long that's going to take. We don't have a time frame on that. Once that survey is done, that will provide information for us to make decisions on future things
Yeah.
and to allow Alyssa and Nisha to do that. I think you could have a training
Yeah,
goal. I mean, because we see evolving needs every
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
I mean, whatever it is, I mean, housing insecurity, hoarding.
yeah.
uh,
So we have one, I think Nisha and I need to double check. I know I definitely had one for myself for performance review, and I think Nisha did too. But so then maybe there's a way that we can include training for board.
Right. And, you know, maybe it is something as simple as, you know, and again, we don't want, the objective is different than the actual checkoff goals.
Yeah,
But one of the checkoff goals underneath the training objective, so this could be simply expand training for board members and staff. I don't, but, like, it would be nice to say, you know, offer 4 training sessions for board members. And they don't have to just be for board members, like the activity in June,
yeah.
You know, the
That you could
allies.
attend.
that we can attend.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, it doesn't have to be, it's the board goes at such and such a
Yep.
time, but to offer things that will help expand the board's knowledge of what's
Yep.
happening.
Yeah.
Maybe you could work that
yeah.
into an objective?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like it.
And I mean, then that's 2 objectives. I mean, we don't want to have, in my mind, in my old strategic planning days, you know, for every one of these, we're calling them pillars, you know, you have a couple objectives.
Yeah.
Under each objective, you have specific goals for specific people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would be fine with only having 2 objectives. And again, this is our first, as a board, this is our first
Start.
foray.
Right.
Right.
So, we don't want to make it a Herculean task.
No.
And then we come back, once we've finished completing the, creating the survey, and we come back, well, not that, and then we move forward with more
Yeah.
objectives, more, you know, have we
I
met
think the survey will inform future plans.
Yes, definitely.
That would be the desired
Exactly,
outcome.
exactly. Otherwise, there's no point
Yeah.
in doing it. We
Yeah.
don't want to just pat ourselves on the back. We want to find out where we need to go.
Can I just comment on these, the comments that we all did, reading through them? We're really pretty much all on the same page. And some, you know, some good ideas
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good
Wow.
specific ideas in here, I think, that, you know, are up to
yeah,
Alyssa and Nisha.
yes. And,
Whether or
you
not-
know, the last considers staffing and volunteering possibilities. So, you know, they can't do it all.
Right.
We'll need some volunteers.
But again,
We'll
that
need some-
becomes,
Down the road, yes, yes. Once we find out
Yeah.
what we're doing, then we do it.
think of your
How
old, when you
can
used
we
to
do
write
it?
papers and you had to do your outline.
Yep, A, B, C.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, so this is Roman numeral 1. And then A is the survey,
Capital
B
A.
is the training, and then there'll be a lot of little 1s and 2s underneath those. So if we go to the second pillar, that's fostering the COA as an open, welcoming, and safe community. And again, so we have training under there. I do like, and we talked about this a lot at VZ Park, was about coming up with a statement, you know, a vision,
Creating
a welcoming vision. I like that. I thought that was a really good idea, and I thought it was important to do, and it's something that can, you know, we can use to brand our activities almost. You know, just the way, you know, now we have our logo. So I do think that's an important objective.
A welcome affirmation type?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. The vision, core values statement, you know.
I do like the one providing training for staff, volunteers, and town department heads on ways to utilize and foster the affirmation statement. I think, you know, again, pulling everybody together. You know, I'm not convinced that everybody knows what we're doing in town hall. The boards, the whatever, commissions, that kind of thing. And I don't know, I hope that would be a great opportunity.
So more info kind of sessions, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking info, I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like there were some,
No, I was just trying to differentiate my mind versus the other kind of training. This would be.
right,
Yeah.
right, this would be informational.
Uh-huh.
Because I do think people don't necessarily realize what,
Yeah, I mean, so we could be intentional about going to select board meetings, you know, that could be a key result or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Well, in regards to that, I also liked under Pillar 3 where it was mentioned about, no, I'm not finding it. Invite town hall employees to a meet and greet activity with COA participants. So if we invited, like, for example, when we have the June barbecue, invite, you know, the town administrator or the new town clerk, come to that and meet our seniors and, you know, to do that on an ongoing basis. And then they don't, when they're talking to people and seeing things that are, gee, I didn't know you did that. So that's another way to incorporate.
Yeah. I mean, I think we want to make this, and I think honestly, in however long we've been this board, I mean, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's been, I mean, I think we've gone a long, long way towards moving towards us and not us versus them. You know, I think we've made a lot of progress. I think there's still progress to be made into that, but again, I think every connection you make, every casual conversation you have, like at a barbecue or sharing an ice cream, those things matter.
For sure.
I wonder if that is more for Pillar 3, broaden the COA community connections.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah,
It-
yeah.
Well, that's where the one that Barbara
What
just
Barbara
mentioned
just
is.
Yep. So for number 2, maybe it's more, in my mind, thinking of all the different sort of identity and/or affinity groups that people self-identify and belong to, and make sure they feel welcome. Yeah. And what can we do as a department and organization to be
But I think-
aware of best practices, but in return, making sure that then people come on in.
But also, okay, so it's saying, Pillar 2 is foster the COA as an open, welcoming, and safe community. So if the town departments aren't on board with that, or, yeah, I'm just saying, if they don't know what our welcome affirmation statement is, if they don't know that this is how we operate,
Yeah.
you can get into
Yeah.
situations. So I think it's hand in hand. I think the training, not maybe having a workshop, but maybe information that
Yeah,
we
that's what Sharon-
distribute. And then, number 3, invite them and to actually see it in action.
Yep.
One is telling them and one is see it in action, I guess. That's how I see it. Okay.
So for Pillar 2, we have the welcoming statement, vision, core values. Was there another objective? Did we want to have, or that you all want to make sure that Nisha and I sort of work on? Again, we'll take a look at all these and see what else we can do, but if there's any strong feelings.
So we're not doing that additional information training?
That's what I'm asking. So we have, it sounds like from this, that we had this objective of the welcoming statement and vision, and then another objective.
We need another objective.
Well, I thought it was the training for the staff, volunteers, town departments, and I just have in parentheses, information, not necessarily workshops, just, making sure that, okay, so we have composed a welcome affirmation statement. Well, let's spread the word, let's take that statement and
Yeah,
spread it.
so I think that would be like, in my mind,
Underneath that.
like a key task of what to do with this.
After that,
Yeah.
right, like spread the word about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so maybe that's what we're saying with that.
I know, I'm looking through this to see what could be considered an objective and not a task. Like, I love the volunteer greeter team, but that's a task,
Right.
I think. And spreading the word, those are tasks, the different, those are some really, really
mean,
good
and
ideas.
I would be okay. I mean, if that's what we feel like is one, because there are a lot of big things we do with that information once we have it, you know?
Be okay with just one? Yeah, just one objective, I know.
Because, we do, yes, let's have these information. Once we have these settled, let's spread the word. Let's celebrate with town hall about what we've, how we are welcoming and what we're going to do with this statement.
So, if we want to have two,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to have two, I would say one is to create the statement, and the second is to publicize
Yeah,
the statement.
okay.
If you want to have two, to be
Create,
consistent,
yeah.
because,
Because the create, I do see in my mind is also, it's not just the people in this room or the people in the office. It is, again, more our community that we want to welcome and hearing their thoughts.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay.
and then there's a lot you can do
For
underneath,
both.
publicize.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
There might be a better word than publicize, but for now, it's a
That
placeholder.
works.
Okay.
Okay, so then the third pillar is broaden the COA's community connections.
Great ideas here.
And again, tons of really good ideas
Yes.
in here. But what would the objectives be? Like, I really like the monthly men's breakfast. I mean, I think that's something that we all tend to maybe gloss over or forget, that it's women, older adult women, not to be stereotypical, seem to carry their connections better into their older
Yeah,
years
no,
than many men do.
I think it's
I don't want to sound,
no, it's a proven stat. I think, particularly for the loneliness, epidemic, that it is men and loneliness are much higher numbers than women. I wonder if instead of naming, men's breakfast, but sort of a broader approach of really targeting men.
So it would be a breakfast.
No, I would
Well,
say
there's a
let's not
task. Yeah,
say
it's
let's
so
not
that
say
they would
not an
breakfast.
objective, it's a task.
Yeah,
right? That's not an objective.
but an objective is to increase our COA membership. I'm not saying this right, but increase the men attending our COA programming. Yeah,
That's an objective.
Do you think
Yeah.
that's an objective?
yeah.
Increase male attendance?
Yes, there we go. Simple like that.
Male involvement, male.
I would acknowledge, definitely want to, but it just popped into my mind that I had this very conversation with somebody at the engagement celebration, I have, my brother, he needs to go, like, what do you have? So, yes, it's needed, but I was also just going to say, we did have a nice, albeit small, we had a good core group of men at the engagement celebration, which was really nice to see,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we did, I thought that was great.
So that's an
Um,
objective.
Okay, so if that's,
So we had, and I know it's, again, I haven't had a chance to look at these, but I had deepen intergenerational and cross-community engagement, which I think has been a theme for
Right.
a number of you. Is it on here?
so I
Yeah.
think, I think we can use that.
Okay.
I mean, because that addresses the schools, it
Yeah.
addresses
Scouts, everything.
younger, older adults.
So is that our second objective?
I think so.
And we're
What were the
calling it
exact words?
intergenerational, increase intergenerational?
Yeah, I mean, I can work on wording, but
Yeah.
intergenerational or cross-community.
Opportunities, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
So, I mean, so if we have these as our objectives, certainly Nisha and I will build them into our individual goals, which again, all of this is our COA goal. So I would, if there is anything specific that the board wants to do, I mean, maybe there's something on, the board, if there's a board packet when a new member comes in, is there anything that you want to do there
Yeah,
for?
we started that, don't we? need to
Yeah.
finish that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And we
Yeah,
have
we do.
members, so.
We do have a packet, it came from Beth Cuniff's office, I believe, that I sent to you, Sharon, that I forwarded to you on, it was like a welcome packet
Yeah.
for new board members, and
And did it have, like our bylaws? Well, I'll send everyone.
it was,
Well,
there
now
was,
it can have the bylaws.
there was a lot.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what was in it, but there was a lot.
I mean, yeah, but it could be basic. It could be,
Yeah.
bylaws, it could be the ethics training that we have to do. It could be just as simple as adding our email contact information,
Yes.
In
cell
term.
phone or whatever,
Yeah.
contact information, and maybe a brief,
And even what does a board member do, the different,
Yes. I think they're having that sheet
think
maybe
makes
of, of what the COA office, COA board,
right, yeah,
friends
that's
of.
a very helpful
Yes.
thing. Yeah, we should do that.
you got that, right? Is that
I
one of the
never
things,
did.
pieces?
I never got one,
You never got one.
never.
No.
Oh.
All right, we
I
need
know
to-
the ethics was definitely included in the packet I got
Yeah.
from Beth.
So yeah, so I was just, in general, Nisha and I will work with our key results. Certainly if the board, some of these will be collaborative, but if there were any that, that you
Yeah.
all wanted to do. Speaking of which, like I'm saying, that we will put these in our performance evaluation and review. So just a reminder, that come July, August, that will be time for mine. I will
Yeah.
leave it up to
That was
you.
something I was going to bring up under other, was performance evaluations would be coming up.
Yeah, I do think Alyssa brings up a good point. We now have pillars, we have objectives, which is awesome. But I think, and remember how a year and a half, 2 years ago, we had our strategic, that was one of our things. Let's pick a strategic focus area every month. But I do think we probably need our own set of, one of which could be to finalize that new member packet. But I think that should be something that we maybe discuss for ourselves. What are our board goals? And again, it can tie in because. one of
Yeah,
ours-
so we're all working together
Right,
on
and we're the
this.
training for the board. I think maybe
Yeah.
one of our goals can be that each board member attends 2 training
Yeah.
sessions or something.
Yeah.
Of your choice.
Yeah, and I would just put it out there. This is, again, sort of broader strokes, but I feel a lot, in my mind, a lot of what we offer as community programming could be, depending on your mindset, a training. The perfect example, like you said, the growing as allies conversation, learning what do we put as options for, identifying yourself as and why we do that, so, yeah.
The dementia workshops you
Yeah.
held,
Yeah,
just so that we're, So that could be something for June. We have our focus area as the board members and roles, and what are our future objectives?
So maybe we should come prepared to
Prepared.
talk about objectives for the board ourselves
Right, for next,
in June.
because that will be, speaking of it, and then in July is
And then
the
we
new
start the
fiscal
fiscal
yeah,
year.
and we can do the same for staff, so.
But yeah, I think we really need to do that.
Sounds
I'm
good.
going to jot down my ideas right now so I don't forget before June.
Right.
All right, I hate to move this along, but most of us are going to the Trivia Cup Challenge
Woohoo.
at 11:30 in Salisbury.
Good
Wish
luck.
us luck on that. We're defending our
team.
cup, our
Yes.
championship. So the next meeting is, it says June 16th, but I thought it was June 18th. I think it's June 18th, because I know I can't go because that's the day I'm leaving.
6 and 7 is.
Yeah, Wednesday, June 18th. The
Oh.
16th is a Monday.
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Silly
Neither
me.
did I, sorry.
So that's our next meeting, and if there is nothing else, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:55?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, Barbara, for
Yes,
serving
Barbara.
as
Thank you, thank you. It was really, thank you. It was an honor and a pleasure.
And is the cup going back to Salisbury on the van?
Yeah.
On the van.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll take it, and the van's leaving at
Barbara's
11.
gonna carry it in.
I can do that.
Do you have some music? Are we going to do We Are the Champions?
Da,
as you
da,
walk
da.